सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। They speak of the imperishable Ashwatha, giant fig tree, with root above, branches below, whose leaves are hymns of Vedas. He who knows that gains wisdom of Vedas. See the metaphoric presentation. It's just painting a picture, right? Don't think there's actually a tree like that. There's no tree. Tree always will have the roots below. So you can never find a tree with root above. So don't go to the forest and keep searching for the tree like that. This is a picture he is painting. So what is important is the concept here, idea, not the representation here. What is interesting is he could have directly said whatever he wants to say. There's no need to go about all these things. We can say directly, Brahman is the root. Problem solved. Why you have to explain, there is a tree upside down and this is lower, complicating the whole thing. They speak in metaphors, not that they don't know how to present it directly. We need to understand the reference of the Shastras. The scriptures have a specific way of speaking. The specific way of speaking or the purpose of the Shastras is to stretch your thinking. So they use very many methods to stretch you to think. One is this metaphor. These metaphoric presentations were given to us so that you can imagine and stretch and see how much can be accommodated. So that is important, not the tree there. Because a lot of people spend so much of time in explaining the tree there. There's a tree like this is this way, that way. It's totally out of context. So what he is trying to explain here is the samsara. And that's why he calls it as huge tree. Later on, you're going to say, you have to cut the tree. But first thing he says is it's a huge tree. It's a giant fig tree. Why it is huge is because of simple reason. Those days, cutting a tree, not easy. See, it's quite big, even the normal tree. Not to talk about this Ashwatha tree. It's so big. You start cutting, it will go days. Nowadays we have, axe, machine. Those days there's no machine there. It's just a matter of, 20 minutes you can finish the whole thing. It will cut off. It's very easy now. Cutting a tree is very easy now. Growing a tree is a difficulty today. In Krishna's time, tree cutting is a problem. Growing is not a problem. Cutting is the difficulty there. So he says it's a huge tree. It's huge. Don't say, there are bigger trees than that, sir. There are other trees, which will go for, so wide and so tall. Ashwatha is not the biggest tree. There are other trees which are bigger. That's where the problem is. When you get involved with the example, which one is it, a fig tree or this tree or that tree? Which tree he is referring to? It's very weird. Like we have one here, no, near Biddi, isn't it? Big banyan tree. How huge that is. Because sometimes you wonder, is it one tree or many trees? If you go actually there. I've seen in Adayar, in Chennai, there's a big banyan tree. The banyan tree is not the important one. Jiddu Krishnamurti used to sit under the tree and give lectures. It seems we used to go and see that. That was the more interesting than the tree actually. It's huge. Similarly, he says the samsara is huge. That's all. It's a huge samsara. Why? Because you do not know the starting point or the end point. Since we cannot see this, it looks vast. But like tree, it can be cut down. It's not a difficulty. You can cut down the tree. That's easy. That's possible at least. So that's how you got to imagine all these ideas. Why he says the root above is, it's not literally the roots above. Because literally root can never be above. It is impossible. You can never have a tree. Unless you are living in, stranger things. Stranger things? Stranger things? Hey man. Upside down. So you go there and come back and all that. So it's another world where everything is upside down. So you go there. Maybe in that samsara will be there, upside down the tree. But in our world, it's not like that. It is always the root is below, the branches above. But he gives a picture of a tree which is the other way around. Just to say what? Brahman is the primary root. That's all. And because Brahman is the primary cause, primary thing, it has to be higher. That's all. There's nothing, imaginative about it or big one. He could have stated that straight away. Why round about? That's a way to trigger thinking. Contradiction is another way to trigger thinking. It's another method. Huh? What did you say? Like that. Or some staggering statements. This very powerful statements they make. Like that. One of the methods is this. Branches below, whose leaves are hymns of Vedas. And final conclusion is the best here. He who knows that gains wisdom of Vedas. You understand the tree, you have the wisdom of what is the connection we don't, you just cannot link. Statement by statement, if you take the verse, okay, they speak of the imperishable Ashwatha giant tree. Okay. But this is very unique tree. What is the uniqueness about this tree? The root is above, branches below. Okay. The leaves are hymns of Vedas. Okay. Suddenly he puts a twist. He who knows that gains wisdom of Vedas. Now, what is this gaining wisdom of Vedas? What is a connection? See, straight away we get totally lost actually here. So the whole clue we take only from here. Now, how do we justify the interpretation? The clue is from the wisdom of Vedas. The one who knows this, he becomes Vedavit. He is the knower of the Vedas. He understands the Vedas. So, which means we need to start from the message of the Vedas first. Don't start from the Ashwatha tree. Your understanding has to go from this side. Like we keep, no, the rat and cheese. See, now easiest way to solve the puzzle is what? Don't try from rat to cheese. Move from cheese to rat. You can easily hit. Similarly, the same way that's cheating actually. But then in understanding these things, we have to go reverse sometimes. Not always. I mean, sometimes we need to go this side. Becomes easier. So first, once you fix what is the meaning of the term Vedavit. Vedavit, can you say the person who knows the chanting? Kramapada he has done, Padapada he has done, this one Gana also he has done. So he is a Vedavit. That is not accepted here as Vedavit. The knower of Veda doesn't mean the person who knows. That doesn't mean all those people who know chanting are all useless. You try to learn one, you will understand how difficult it is. Small one, try to learn. Just about 5, verses, 5 stanzas. Veda Suktam, you try to learn. You will understand the complications involved there. Or even one mantra for you to learn demands a lot of effort. So it's not so easy, please. So don't simply decry those who have slogged. That's a sign of intellectual laziness. No, what is the sign of intellectual laziness? Someone who has put in that intellectual exercise, if you are not able to appreciate, that means you have never exercised. You see that? Only the labor people, were the one who says, the managing director is not doing anything. What is he doing? Only I am struggling. Me is not doing anything. What is he? Look at his life. They are so happy. They're so nice. All these politicians are very corrupt. You try to be a politician, one day you will know what it means. You comment problem, you don't comment problem. You comment this way, one fellow will twist it. That way you say one fellow will twist it. Anything you do is going to be twisted, no matter what you do. What are you going to do? Not easy, please. Who understands that? The one who has struggled, the one who has worked. The moment you say somebody who has worked and you dismiss it, that shows what? Shows your tamas, that's all. Your laziness. So Vedavit is not that place. He says it includes that also. Remember, it is exclusive. It includes. It is inclusive of knowing the Vedas. And this knowing the Vedas were done by everyone. Now remember, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Arjuna is a Kshatriya warrior. Krishna also who? Kshatriya. Some of them say he is actually Vaishya. in the classifications and all that, which is even better, I would say. But we think, Veda chanting should be done only by Brahmin. No. Everyone is supposed to learn. You see that? You have to know that. Everybody is supposed to learn the Vedas. Where the difference comes is only when it comes to the Anushtana, the practices. In the practices only there is difference. In teaching that there is a difference. But everyone is supposed to learn. So, who becomes obligated to teach? This obligation to teach is there only for a Brahmin. That doesn't mean only Brahmin should learn. Remember, this Vedic learning has to be done by everyone. Over a period of time, we didn't see utility there. Because today, everything is equated only with economics. See, when economics becomes the reference point, Vedic learning will become irrelevant. See, we don't even understand. At best, what do we do? Like, you go to the temple, I say, the pujari comes, with the arati. What you put there? 5 rupees. Last week I was there in a temple. Very interesting one I saw. One fellow gave 100 rupees. I was like, huh? I thought, my theory has gone completely off. I was like, wow, there's someone who is breaking my theory, I looked at that fellow. Before I could even conclude, that fellow started picking 10 rupees from there. He says, I need change. I'm not able to get 10 rupee notes outside. So what to do now? Go to the temple, he gave him 100 rupees. That fellow gave him 90 rupees. But 10 rupees is given there. You saw that? He is a witness. I was about to tell him, hey, thank God I didn't jump in. I said, okay, let's see. 5 rupees, 2 rupees. People go to the temple, break that coconut. Which coconut you buy? The smallest. Enough, no? That also she was telling me. Only half you should give them, half we should take on. And the priest is giving both. He said, I don't want it. What I am going to do in my house? Every day he gets 25 coconuts. Nah? What he will eat in his house then? Huh? And the fellow gives. He says, no. You should give back one to him. I say, for what? Please, her problem is, I will ask her to make chutney. Has to do grating, 2 coconuts, 2 halves to be grated. 1 half is enough. Learning has to be done by everybody. Only difference comes is in terms of the practice of it and teaching of it. See, this practice of these things means, they are supposed to do the chanting of that Veda, whatever they have studied every day. It's compulsory for them. Now, every day you have to sit and do the chanting, means you have studied one Veda. For you to complete that entire Vedic chanting, one day you sit and do, means 3.5 hours. After you have memorized. If you are going to look at it and read, it will take 6 hours. Memorize, it will come. It will go very fast. It will go. 3.5 hours it will take for you to finish one shaka of yours, one branch which you have studied. Now imagine every day, everyone had to spend 3.5 hours sitting. How society will run? Life cannot move. See, so they said only these people should keep it alive. And then whose responsibility it is to transfer that knowledge to the next generation. These two, but learning has to be done by everybody. But when he says Vedavid, he is not referring to just the person who has studied the Vedas. If that is the case, Arjuna has already studied the Vedas. You see that? This is what I'm coming to. Because when he was in Gurukula, he has studied the Vedas. It's not that he doesn't know these things. But can you call him Vedavid? That's why we call it as wisdom of Vedas, not knowledge. With means the knower, knows, the one who knows. Vedavid, the one who knows the Vedas. Now here it's not just knowing the Vedas, there is something more to it. What is something more there? From here we get a clue to go backwards. Then you can understand the branches, why he calls this Chandas as the hymns, the mantras there. All these Vedic mantras which is existing. There is the leaves. And then we go to the branches, as branches are there. Then we have this, the root. So what is this message given here? The one who knows means one who knows the tree of Ashwatha along with the root. You see that? The one who is able to see only the leaves cannot be called as Vedavid. He is not having the knowledge of the tree. If you know the tree, doesn't mean you just see the leaves. You have to see the leaves along with the root. With the root you should see. That's what he says. He who knows that, he who understands the tree with what? Go first. With the root above. From tree you understand. I'm just reading that. He who knows that. What? He who knows that Ashwatha tree which they speak of as the root above, branches below. You see that? That's why I said you should go reverse in understanding. Then we can interpret why he puts root above the tree. So here what is this? Vedas is the hymns. He has not explained what is the branches below. He has not stated what is the root. The root he has not said. Follow very carefully here. The first verse itself is itself packed with so many things. He is comparing the leaves with hymns. Branches compared to what? The root compared to what? It's not explicitly stated here. Krishna had explicitly stated only the leaves were the hymns of the Vedas. Did he say root above is Brahman? No, he only says roots above and then branches below. Obviously, the tree is standing upside down. That's all it is. But tree is a tree. Whether it is standing straight or it's standing upside down, it's a tree. In the tree, what is the first thing you have to start with? Start with the Vedas, hymns of the Vedas. This hymns of the Vedas, through the hymns of the Vedas, you should understand that entire tree. This understanding of that entire tree means you should understand it along with the root, and you have to put that root where? Not below. That root should be above. That's why we said it is reverence. It's because of out of reverence, out of higher authority. So you must understand what is the message, what is the essential teaching here. See, sometimes back, Mysore, around Mysore, if you go travel, little about 40 kilometers radius, if you travel, Mysore, we find lot of tribals living, even now they are there, actually, tribal community. And they don't have medical facilities there. If there is any problem they have, means this medical college people and this some of this charity institutions take their vehicle. Once a week it will go. Once a week they'll go to different places. One day here, one day here, one day here. This village by village, like one of the doctor was telling me, it's actual story. See, it's a real story. It's not a joke. He's telling one tribal man came to this fellow for some disease, and he told him, you take this. He gave a prescription. Take this. They can't keep coming. They can't ask him to visit again and again and all that. Not he is going. He is not going. So the tribal person has to come. So he said, you don't have to keep coming because it's not easy for them to come here. So he said, 1 month, after 30 days, you come and see. The fellow took. The first thing he told him, take this and go. So he took that thing and he left. After 1 month, religious fellow came back. To the surprise or to the thing, because usually, after you get well, you don't go back to the doctor. We go back to the doctor only when it's still not okay. You see, after you became, healthy, you don't go back to the doctor. But surprisingly, he said this man came back and told, sir, my problem solved. And this doctor was saying he forgot what was, some reference is needed. No, he came back and said, "Oh, my problem solved." He said, "Okay." He forgot what the actual problem that fellow had. So he asked him to give the prescription. So from that, prescription, I can recollect what's the issue for what medicine I gave and all that. Where's prescription? Not there. Why are you asking prescription? Says, I gave you the cheat. Where is that? I ate it. What the fellow was doing was, every day, 30 days, he was tearing that paper, piece by piece by piece, and eating it every day. And the best part is what? He got well. That's when the doctor got totally confused. What was the problem actually now? He says, even today, he said, I don't remember what the problem was. And that fellow says he was healthy, he was fine, and all that, thanks. I said, okay, go back. But then it's like amazing, the disease. There's a disease and there is a cure. And that's what he's explaining in the next verse. Verse 2, he moves on to this. Then we will come back again. So you have to go, these sort of verses, you need to go backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, and then take one more step and then include again. So you read the first verse, understand. And then what you should do, second verse, understand. And then second verse, first verse together. And then verse 3. Then 1, 2, 3 together. That's how you got to study 15th chapter. That's why we say, even though it's a small chapter, it's a heavy one. Because in other chapters, chapter 3, you don't have to do all that. Chapter 3 is very simple, just moves. One verse, next verse, next verse, next verse. Or you spend little more time in that one verse only. Very rare we find where you have to go ahead, come back, only then you will understand certain things in this verse along with the second verse. Then the dynamics of 1 and 2 you will understand only when you add the third verse. So till then it will stand as incomplete. Again, you have to include the fourth verse. So like that you have to study. That's where these verses are very interesting. You know, yeah, Gana. That's what the Gana Pata is all about. You know, that's how Vedic study is. You know, how they study the Vedic chanting is like that. You know, one is, mostly you would have heard, people chanting the verses just straight. It'll go. Then there are people who study that word by word by word. Like in our, when you do the rituals and all, the person comes and, tells, then you repeat, then he tells the next word, then you repeat next word, next. That's pada, word by word. Right. One is Samhita, the general one. Then they have the pada. Then they have permutation combination will start. 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. Like that, it'll go on. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 will go. Then you have a little more complications. Little more complicated. Then they'll take 3 words. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 1. 3, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. Like that will go. 1, 2, 3 itself is so difficult for us to say. And these people will chant like that entire, Veda. 10,000 mantras. Imagine, and they give exams. You must watch that at least. Somewhere in between, the fellow will say one word and say, from there start. 10,000 mantras, one word he will give in between. Say, from there you start. Which word, where? It's almost impossible. That's why we say these teachings were done when you are young. Because when you are young, this Udhana Shakti is there. The thought absorption. Keeps your, you can absorb that and retain. That's the Udhana Shakti of the, Buddhi, intelligence. There's an early stage in your life you got to memorize. Learn it. Later on, you can sit back and do exactly like, how the cows, graze. They go to the, land and start, tak, 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 they'll eat. And then they'll go back to the shed and sit. Bring it back, chew again. Now that's where it is, easier. We are doing everything ulta now. After learning the interpretations and all that, we go back to this. That's why there's no inspiration. It should be done in that krama, this way. Verse 2. Adhachotvam prasutasya shakha guna pravruddha vishaya pramalaha adhascha mulanyanusantani karmanubandhini manushya-loke adhachotvam prasutasya shakha guna pravruddha vishaya pramalaha adhascha mulanyanusantani karmanubandhini manushya-loke. Its branches spread below and above, nourished by the gunas, qualities, with buds as sense objects, and roots stretch below as actions binding men in the world. Still, he is continuing the description of the tree. So, how the tree is. So, he is visualizing the tree. He says the tree has its branches spread. First one he said, the branches below. Now he says the shaka, the branches were spread. How? Some of them were below, some of them were above. Moving upwards, downwards. Some are moving down, some are moving up. What nourishes them, from where that nourishment comes? He says that nourishment comes from the gunas. Because the tree to survive needs nourishment. What is going to nourish this? Gunas. Then obviously it must be having the buds. See, the buds were the sense objects, he says. Pravala is the bud. Vishaya Pravala. Vishayas becomes the Pravalas. That's a Vishaya Pravala. Vishaya Pravala means that buds as sense objects. So Vishaya is the sense objects. And the roots stretch below. So this is where the problem is. The last verse you said root above. Now suddenly he says below. What is he talking? That's why these people put it so beautifully. It's a classic way of presentation, Upanishadic style. When he said the root above, that was singular. Right. Now here he says the roots stretch below. Right.
Second.
What is it, sir? Plural. So he says, now these roots is different from the root that I referred in the first verse. The first verse root is singular, second verse is plural. So which means there are two types of roots, which we can understand. Look at a tree, we know there is a primary root and secondary roots. And the secondary roots are always many. You're not going to have only one root. You'll have many roots. So there is a primary root and the secondary roots. The primary root is above, secondary roots below. So which means secondary roots are totally different. Now if at all you have to picturize like what? Not like how we see the paintings. Because in the paintings even secondary roots are put above only. No, he says secondary roots are where? Below. So there is one root above, another root below, in between is a tree. Actually, literally, if you have to paint as described in the verses, it look weird actually. Why is such a description? Because your samsara is weird. The weird samsara can be painted as what? Weird only. No? Like this fellow asks, this Vadivel, that fellow, he goes to a shop and asks, how much is that monkey doll? He looks at the monkey doll and says, how much is that? The owner said, that's a mirror. What's a mirror? Your samsara is so complicated, so stupid that is. Obviously, if I have to describe that, picturization of that also has to be what? It has to be like this. One root above, your entire tree is sandwiched between two roots. But that's not the way people paint it, because it doesn't look nice to see. So interesting way of presentation here. It's beautiful style. So again, we take the clue from these things only. The roots stretch below. The roots fall below. What is that? It says below as actions binding men in the world. That's the clue here. Karmanubandhin. This bandha is of what? Because of that karma. This karmas is the one which binds a person to this. What is the root of that? So karma binds men to the world. That we can understand. Action binds. But then what is the root of action? You have to go one step back. One step back, if you come, you understand what action is caused by desires. Desire starting point is what? Thought. What is the starting point of a thought? 2 marks granted. You should say, I don't know. You don't know. Somebody told you Vasana. Do you know? Correct. The actual answer has to be what? I don't know. Where it comes, I don't know. But I was told it is coming from Vasana, which I don't understand. Because that's why he puts it as a roots. A root is something which is invisible, unknown. You will not know that. But one thing for sure, without a root, a tree will not be standing. So we understand the root as inferred. It's not perceived. It is inferred, there is a root. It's inferential conclusion. Same way, Vasana is an inferential conclusion. Right? Thought is not inferential. Thought is directly perceptible, directly known to you. Right? Perceptible in the sense not actually seeing it. I mean, it is directly understandable. From where all this started? Started from the thought. And that's where he puts a beautiful twist here. He says, the starting point is not just a thought, the starting point is the sense objects, he says. The whole thing starts from where? He says the whole thing starts from sense objects. Starting point. Now, how do you say sense objects is a starting point? How do you develop a desire? Only after you knowing something. You can develop a desire to something which is known to you. Right? Whatever is known to you is the sense object here. The world. Right? Now you have to study theory of perception for this. That's why it's difficult. 15th chapter is so difficult, we say. Why? It's because we need to establish how is the sense objects he calls as buds. That is possible only by understanding. Literally, the sense object is not going to do anything to you. By itself. By itself, sense objects are not doing anything. But then, how do you know the existence of that sense object? First thing, you have to know the existence of something like that. Without knowing the existence of it, how will you have a desire for it? So, first step is what? Knowing existence. So, from there, everything starts. From knowledge comes desire. From desire comes karma. Out of karma, you get the consequences, punya papa. That gives you the sharira, and you are bound. In the sharira, in this body, you have to go through the consequences. You have to experience the punya papa. Right? The whole thing started from where? knowledge of the existence of the sense object. Because it is there, you develop a desire for it. Once you develop a desire, anything which is not known to you, you can never develop a desire. That's impossible. Yes.
So when we say, generally it is said, don't have desires. Vasana is the reason for desires. So why can't it be like don't have vasanas? Or if it has to be like that, how do we have to understand?
Because vasana you can't understand. So there's no point in telling you don't have vasana.
We cannot have a desire. There is something behind.
Desire is at least manifested. You can handle that. Vasana is not manifested. So how will you handle it? You see, you can handle the disease only after it comes, no? When it has not developed, one day I will get cataract. So today itself I'll do the surgery. How can you do the surgery? The cataract, even if you have, they'll say what? You have to wait for another 6 months. Why? It has to grow. It has to come to a stage, only then you can deal with it. Even though we know it is coming from there. But can you deal with it? Right now they say, if we were to scan the body, minimum all the body carries cancer cells. You know that, no?
Yeah.
All the bodies. Every human body or every organism, every body will carry cancer cells. Therefore, all of us go for chemotherapy. No, that has to grow. Similarly, vasana has to come to the level of a desire, only then you can deal with it. At the level of vasana, you can't deal with it. Therefore, we say only desire. In all conversational things, all teachings and things, hardly you will find the reference of vasana. Throughout the moment the sadhana this discussion comes into picture, it will be only kama, desire. Right? Only for the theoretical understanding, vasana will be used. Vasana is never for application. So wherever there's an application dimension comes, desire. Theory, vasana. That will be little easy. Right? So he says its branches were spread below and above. What are the branches? Earlier in the last verse, he said branches is what? Is the two basic branches that carries. Every tree will have two basic branches. And those two branches, he says, one branch is coming down, one branch is going up. Reference of what? Reference is to the actions. What comes out of the tree? What comes out of the vasana? The roots. Vasana is the branches that leads to what? That's the action. Now, those actions were of two levels. One is evolutionary actions and devolutionary actions. That he calls as above and below. All evolutionary actions, those evolutionary actions also coming from where? Asanas only. Right. Similarly, devolutionary actions also coming from vasanas. Because chronology of action is very clear. Every action preceded by desire. Every desire preceded by thought. Every thought is preceded by vasana. So you can never have action without a vasana. Without having a desire to speak, it is impossible to speak. Right? If I am not having a desire to talk, I will not speak. If you are not having a desire to listen, you will not listen. Right? You're listening, I'm talking. Is because of what? Desire. But generally we say, you don't have a desire to talk. That's a colloquial way of presentation. That's not a fact. You see that it's not a fact. Fact is different. The fact is all actions preceded by desire. Any action you do, there is a desire. And all desires backed by thought. All thoughts stem from vasana, which is the root. So from the root, what comes? Action comes. Those actions were of two categories. Few actions are evolutionary, few actions are devolutionary. You follow? That's what he says. He says the branches, the shakas are above and below. What? From where that comes from the root. Which root? Secondary root. What is the cause of the secondary root? From where secondary root comes? Primary root. From primary root comes the secondary roots. Out of secondary roots comes the branches. Those branches were of two. Branches move in different direction. And those directions were given two. Evolutionary, devolutionary. Above, below. Right? Yes.
The buds you said are equated to sense objects. But
Yes.
Sense objects are outside to be outside the person.
Who said it is outside?
Oh, theory of perception.
In the dream,
But
the dream world is where? Outside or inside? From here it looks like outside. But when we are describing samsara, it is one unit. You see that?
that's where theory of perception.
Theory of perception comes. Yes.
Sir, is vasana part of existence or it can be eliminated by practice? Do elevated souls also have vasanas? Shankaracharya, Adi Shankara, did he have vasana?
Of course.
It is part of existence.
It is. You can come into existence only if there is vasana. Without a vasana, you cannot exist. It is not possible.
Not possible.
Then we are defying the very basic theorem. If someone can exist without vasana, means what? How? Impossible. That's why we call those people as avatar.
They are without vasanas.
They take vasanas and come. But with vasana only you can enter here. If you want to enter into this world, from Shivaloka, from Kailasha, he has to come into this world. Means what? He can't come as Sadashiva. In Kailasha, he can sit as Sadashiva. Possible. But if he has to come to earth, he has to come as Shankara. As Shankara, when he comes, he has to adore, he has to put on the clothes of Vasana, which is not necessary at all for him. Why should he do it? That's why we say he is doing it out of compassion. That's why it is called as avatar, avatarati, coming down. Avatarati is called as avatars. Why? Because from his pristine position, he forgoes that and comes into this mess. He's coming down to our level. He's coming down itself means what? What is the meaning? That's why we call all these people as avatars. Krishna avatar we say, Rama avatar we say, Shankara avatar we say. Why we call those people as avatars? Are they also normal? No. Their case is very different from our case. He explained it in the 4th chapter. When he is explaining about the avatar Rahasya, explains in the 4th chapter. There he says, I have also taken many births. You have also taken many births, Arjuna, but I know my births, but you don't know. What is the difference? Because we are not consciously, voluntarily taking up. We are forced. In his case, it's not like that. He chooses. He chooses and says, I'll take birth. Like in Ramayana, we say, no? Very interesting story there. Akalya story, Ramayana? Akalya, all of you know. No? Anybody doesn't know Akalya? Okay. Akalya got the curse from Gautama Rishi. Right. And then he himself gives the cure also for that. The solution he gives. What's the solution he gives? When Rama comes, there you will get back to your original form. What was the period in which this happened? Akalya's curse. Dasharatha was not born. You know that. Dasharatha was not born at that time. This happened even before Dasharatha's birth. So first Dasharatha has to take birth, and then he has to live, and then he has to get married, and then he has to get Rama, and Rama has to birth, and then he has to grow, then he has to come. All these things the fellow says when? Before. Which means what? He knows this is going to, which is what? It's a well-scripted drama. Only when you have the drama, the director will know, no? Right? Many of these scenes, they say, many people don't know what is the actual thing is. Padaipa got re-released. தெரியுமா? பாத்தீங்களா? Padaipa re-release happened. That was a time, when Rajinikanth, every movie he's supposed to have one, punch dialogue. Right? Punch dialogue has to be there. So people are wondering what is going to be the punch dialogue of Padaipa, because Padaipa's story is Rajinikanth's. That is his story. His story, and then developed, and then screenplay was written by and all these things. So punch dialogue has to be there, and everywhere people are there, waiting for this punch dialogue to be released. So throughout the shooting, wherever he is supposed to, the shots where he is supposed to say that, and shoot, he was never saying it. He was just moving the lips. Rajinikanth was not saying. Because even if one light man were to hear that, enough. If he calls one, fellow and says, you give me, 50,000 rupees, I will give you the punch dialogue of Padayapana, he would have got 50,000. Right? So you want to keep it as a secret. When the release, when they were doing this, they call dubbing. Dubbing will be done after the movie creations and all that. They will do the dubbing. In the dubbing, inside the studio only, he said. He knew the dialogue. But nobody knows the dialogue there. Similarly, Gautama Rishi knew what? This fellow is going to come. Rama is going to come. We don't know whether Dasharatha will come or not. But Rama is going to come. That is for sure. And he gives a name also. See, somebody will come. The Avatara Purusha will come. Then it is a different. That's not what his cure was. The cure was very clear. Clear statement. Mr. Rama will come. How do you know? Scripted. The fellow is the one who writes a script. So obviously he knows. Or he is a co-author. He would have sneaked and seen. Other rishis, The rishis means, those who have the capacity to see. That's what munis and rishis, they say. Duradrishti. They have the capacity. This is what? All pre-programmed. From whose point of view? It's all scripted. To whom? To the director, it is scripted. To the characters, it's not a scripted piece. It's real. To the director only it is. So the director sees it differently. So we live different. Their life is different. So we can't equate. But the rule is one. What is it? If you have to enter, you have to take up certain positions. That's why Rama's character is totally different. Parshurama is totally different. Krishna totally different. All different. Vamana totally different. Why Narsimha didn't come to Mahabali? Yeah. Imagine Mahabali meets Narsimha. What would have been the case? You can't even understand what would be the case actually. It's confusing. Because that will not fit. So their taking up is a conscious decision based upon the requirement. Our case is not like that. Our case is what? Our case of taking up vasanas, desires and all that is not a conscious choice of us. It is unconscious repetition. That's the reason, he says. So he says, its branches spread below and above, nourished by the gunas. From where you get that nourishment is the gunas. Don't ask me gunas now. Just now we studied 14th chapter. Right? The three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Those three gunas give the nourishment to the tree of samsara. With buds as sense objects and roots stretch below as actions binding men in the world. Actions binding, will explain next class. See you.